Great, we just started.
Yes.
Hey.
Ready when you are.
So I'm using this as well. So give you right. Morning, everybody. Welcome to Block. Welcome on board. Fabulous thing. We've been here now for about 6 months. We're up on the 14th floor. Absolutely love it. So you need to go test out the wellness floor downstairs. When you guys are working at home, you need to come in and see. It's fantastic. I'm asleep this afternoon. So, right, we've got an hour to move really quickly. Now, just to give you a bit of an overview, we're a business coach now for about 25 years, specialising in marketing. And this business was set up about 4 years ago. Due to the amount of time we were talking to people about LinkedIn, and they were saying they're in business, but do you know what? I've been on the course and I've got a bit excited about it. Or why come other people are getting business out of it? I just don't use it. I don't know how to do it. So this is how we set up the ninjas. It was a few glasses of red wine one night because the company's called the Business Group, so that's my initials, Ian and we took Ian out to LinkedIn, and then we decided to have a bit of a play and a bit of fun with the ninjas. With the shark flying to our team flying to the shadows. They're silent assassins of your LinkedIn, do the work, fly out again. So we're going to give you some really practical stuff to get cracking on with. I apologise, I moved at 100 miles an hour, so if I do go too fast, but afterwards, if you want to catch up with us, give us a shout. One of the guys is coming down in the middle of stuff on board. So let's get cracking then. Welcome everybody at home. First of all, I'm very excited. So, what is LinkedIn? Why should I invest some time into it? Hopefully you're all here today because you want to learn what to actually do and how to invest in it. It is the biggest platform out there for B2B professionals. Now, even if you're still connecting with the person, your Facebook's and all your B2Cs, right? You've got your Instagrams, you've got all this stuff now, but still, LinkedIn is the biggest B2B professional network. It's been out there for about 20 years. It used to be a recruitment platform, but then they started to realise that if you were looking for certain key people to recruit because of certain criteria, you know, how long had they been in the industry, what was their specialism, these sort of things, then it was exactly the same criteria that you need to look if you're looking for sales leads. So they had sense, they said we moved into more of what's called the Sales Navigator, sales promotion tool. As it says there, 46% of people are in some sort of senior management. And you know, it doesn't matter if they're not active on LinkedIn, if their profiles are not active. If you decide to message that person, you know, sometimes if you're a telemarketer, you're trying to ring somebody, you're trying to email somebody, you'll get filtered, won't it? If you message somebody through LinkedIn, that message directly goes to that person. It doesn't necessarily get filtered, and you don't have to go through a gatekeeper. So if you're looking at people that make decisions, 46% of them are going to be on there. We all know about statistics. What did it say? 7.2% of all statistics are made up anyway. But this just gives you an idea. I think there's over 800 million people on there at the moment. So the people you will need to talk to will be on there. It's about how do I find them? How do I engage with them? The old-fashioned marketing of throwing off stuff at the wall and see what sticks. You know, I'm sure we've all done it, email marketing campaigns, spending so much time just throwing off stuff at see what sticks doesn't work nowadays. You've got to get far more targeted. I'm going to show you how to target most specifically on LinkedIn. Just more stats, just to show you that the actual, it is one of the biggest platforms. So just to make sure that you work. 13 million people have LinkedIn company pages. Company pages are like micro websites. So again, if you go to a company page, you can find all the people who work in that company. So that's an overview. So we all think, yes, we should be actually doing stuff like this. But you know what? You're all busy people, aren't you? You haven't got time to spend hours and hours on a new marketing strategy. I'm going to show you a small amount of regular consistency. We tell our clients 2 or 3, half an hour a week is all that you need to get this strategy working. And you can align it to any other strategies that you do. Because the more you align something, the less work it's going to take. Okay? 3 core things to focus on. Now, you can imagine I could stand here for hours and hours telling you what things that you need to do. So I'm going to focus on what I consider the most important things that you can take away and implement today. And these things will make a difference straight away. So the first thing is about visibility. Can you just share me those around? For you guys at home, we've got email copies we can send to you as well. Most people on LinkedIn I don't know whether you've got this. Your headline will normally say your name and then your job title. Development manager at, business owner at. Well, you're missing a massive opportunity because, to be honest with you, I don't care as the person searching whether you're an MD, what business you're in. All I want to know is, do you have a solution to a problem that I have? Or do you have something that's going to be of use to me? So if your headline is just saying what your job title is, you are missing a massive trend. So I'm going to show you how to create your own headline, and I will guarantee you that you just change this headline, because when people search, and you come up in that search list, your name will come up and then your headline. So if your headline, you change it today into this format, you will get more interaction straight away. So your first part of your headline, as I said there, who do you specifically help and what's their role? You might help business owners, you might help worn-out executives, you might help procurement managers. The reason being, if you say who it is that you help in your headline, when that person is looking at your profile, that's been written to me, isn't it? My profile says I help busy sales professionals. Well, if a busy sales professional jumps onto my profile and sees that I help busy sales professionals, are they much more likely to stop on that profile than if it says MD of in Business Ninjas? Boring, isn't it? So your first port of call is to work out who do you specifically help. And if you help everybody, you're going to struggle. Try and work out your niche, because if you don't stand out as any different as your competition, you're in a sea of everybody else, and what will then happen is you can only compete on price. You need to work out what makes you different. Next. Okay. So what do you help them achieve? What are the outcomes as that person interacts with you? What are they going to get as a result? Because all of a sudden, people at the end of the day are bothered about what they are going to get. Well, we haven't got all day to be sitting, scrolling through lots of profiles. We're going to find something because we have a requirement for something. Either a product or a service or a challenge or something we can't do. So if it says on your profile, what do you help them achieve? What's the benefit of some interaction with you? And bear in mind, I can't remember the exact amount of characters you have, but less is more on this. It's really challenging to get it down into those things, 180 characters. So think, what do you help them achieve? What's the benefit of them interacting with you? Well, then finally, how do you do it? Not going into detail, obviously, because you've only got 180 characters, but the top line of what you do. Now, if you put this all together, so instead of just saying MD at In Business Ninjas, I help achieve this, and this is how I do it. We're also going to cover keywords in a bit, because keywords are exactly the same as SEO on your website. People will search for you and your service based on certain keywords. So we need to make sure that we're selecting your keywords properly. We're dropping them into your profile so that people will come up in a search in exactly the same way you come up in a Google search. And if you can include any of your keywords in your headline, then you're going to be found faster. People are going to be more interested to look at your profile because you show what you do, who you do it for, and what you get as a result. And I will guarantee you, just by doing this, your interaction engagement will go up. So there's a bit of a handout there to give you an overview. And if you want, we'd be more than happy to critique your headline for you. So when you've done it and you've updated it, you want to send it through to us, we'll give you an actual critique back, 4 out of 10. On each of those 3 points, does it stand out? Okay? So just by doing that, that'll make a difference. I'm trying to give you some practical stuff today because I could stand here for say 2 weeks and give you training on LinkedIn. What we're going to do now, that's your headline. That's the biggest thing that most people get wrong. Now I'm going to go through the top 15 tips to get your profile right. Your profile, think of it as your shop front. So your profile, you need to have your window, your signage needs to be relevant to the people. Because, you know, you're looking for something there, and you're walking through the traffic centre, and you're after a particular something to buy, you'll go in the shop, and you see the signage first, then you see the window display, then you go inside and you find what you want, don't you? Think of your profile as the same. Your window display's got to look right, your signage, which is your headline's got to look right, and then when you go in, it's easy to find you are the professional that has a solution to a problem that somebody has. So I'm going to give you 15 tips, which are the biggest mistakes that people make. So for you, and there's a score sheet here as well. You can take this with you, but these are just some of the core things. But again, you get your shop front right, your window display right, you'll get more people coming into your shop. That's my simple analogy. You know, life and business is complicated enough, isn't it? So let's keep it simple. Right. You can go down this list. Trust me, if you go down this list, you update these bits, again, your engagement levels will go up massively. So the first one, keep your profile basics updated. So what we mean by this is just make sure that periodically you just click on the pencil where your name and name is to see that your information is correct. Your location. I got a rather stroppy message from somebody the other week asking why I'd invited him to a seminar when he was in Barcelona. So would it help if I showed you why? I said, because your location is still set to Manchester. And after the rather stroppy email to start with, he went, oh, thank goodness for that. I'm glad somebody's told me because I keep getting pestered by people in Manchester. Keep your basics up to date because that's what people will be searching for. So if you're out of location or you've moved jobs recently, you're not going to get picked up in searches. This is a five-minute job. Next one, use your name. You might think, what on earth is that about? If your name is Benjamin, everybody knows you as Ben, or Vicky, or you're billing Victoria, make sure you use the name that people know you by, because that's what they'll search for. So if you're a Victoria, everybody knows you as Vicky, and someone's searching because they've seen you at the event for Victoria, they won't find you. It sounds like a simple, silly thing to do, but use the name you give it that you use all the time. There's also an option on LinkedIn, you might find it, which is how to create an all-star profile. It just takes you through 10 core little steps to say, this is what you need to change. Have you got this right? And then eventually you'll have an all-star profile. You've already got your professional headline right, you've got your location right, you've got your basics right. This is a 5-minute job, but you'll be surprised the amount of times that we look into people's profiles and the basics are wrong. If your basics are wrong, we're not going to find you, are they? Okay? So that's your first tip. Right, this is your shop front professional photos. LinkedIn give you like a silhouette. See that? It does like a grey silhouette thing. What does it say? If I've gone onto somebody's profile, it just shows you the silhouette. What am I instantly going to think? Would you think? Use it? So you're not actually using it? You're not actually using it. You're not very interested. You're not that bothered. So this is your shop front. So very simply, you can jump on something like Canva and get these done. You can go to Fiverr or just design it, something really simple. Get yourself a nice banner that reflects you and what you're about. So keep the focus on that. Again, professional photos, but straight away, when you jump on something like that, this is a coach we work with in New Zealand that does employee engagement coaching. Good morning, guys. Some of the tea. We all check up. We're all coming to check up, aren't we? So again, get your signage right. Talk to us if you need some help, we can get this sorted for you. So tip number 3. So we've talked about your photo. Again, if you just got a silhouette on your profile, it means you're not interested. You know, your wedding photo, your Tinder picture, anything like that. Try and keep it professional. Head and shoulders picture, because again, remember this is a professional photo. Professional profile. And we're working with a guy at an IT company years ago in Stoke-on-Trent. He got a picture of him on holiday with a cocktail and a big wig on. I thought, Graham, that's fine. It looks really good and fun, but you are looking for contractors, for large organisations to take over their IT. What's it showing you? You've got a big wig on and a margarita. Yes, it shows you a good time. You have a good bit of fun, don't you? But professional photo. iPhones now simply can take these pictures, right? So keep a professional photo. Right? It's 3 things. Number 4, ridiculously good summary. Now you've worked on your headlines, so we've now got a good engaging headline that's talking to your target markets. Everybody's coming down, check up a minute. So the idea is that your headline What's this going to do? This summary's going to expand on that because you've grabbed my attention, haven't you, because of that really good headline that you've written. Now what I'm going to do is find out a little bit more about you to see whether or not I think I'm interested. It's all about building this credibility. Right. That's not the right one, is it?
What's going on with it?
Doing too many things to be ambidextrous. Oh.
Magic touch.
Okay, so here's some ideas of how to build a great summary. I've grabbed your attention, I'm curious, that's all I am at this moment in time. So, 6 core things here. Build on from your headline, make it stand out, make it a bit interesting, make it a bit fun, because that's gonna engage people a little bit more. Benefits and results. You know, we talked about this in your headline. You've given them an overview of the benefit they're going to get as a result of engaging with you. Go into a bit more detail now. Specifically spell out, you will get this, we do that, we are different to other companies because we do this, that, and the other. If you don't have any points of difference, again, the only thing you're ever going to compete on is price. You don't want to be the same as everybody else in a sea, do you? Who do you serve? We've mentioned this briefly in the headline. Go into more detail. Split down the target markets and the people that you speak to. Because if that person is then in that target market when they read that summary, they're more likely to carry on through the process, aren't they? We are trying to keep them engaged throughout this process. So when they get to the end, they do something about it. We're going to want to target markets shortly. That's what we do. We talk about target markets. Anybody that's in your target market is a suspect. That's what we call them. They're a suspect because they fit into that group. Now, you're going to reach out to them, you're going to engage with them, you're going to start a conversation. When they come back into you and they say something, they're now a prospect. They don't become a prospect until they do something. So we're trying to get them engaged to do something. What makes you different? Talked about that. Your contact information and again, specialities and keywords. It's just further extents on your headline. All this stuff is going to make your Shopfront more clear. Keywords. I know we've mentioned this before, but imagine, if you've ever done any SEO or websites, people are going to search for you around your products, your services, your results, anything that you do, or previous clients, or even competitors. I've known a lot of people use competitors as their keywords because if people are searching for their competitors, then that means you're also going to come up in that search. Use your keywords with intent. Look out what those keywords need to be and then drip them into your profile. Because in exactly the same way that you go to Google and do a search, it works on LinkedIn. I need to find this person, or these are my keywords, and you'll then come up in that search. So use them with intent. Okay. I'm going too fast at the minute because I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, but you're literally just going to go down this checklist. I'll see you engagement improve. Typos. Pet hate. This is where the grammar police come in. Again, well, it's just a thing with me, but if I see a typo or a spelling mistake, instantly, no matter how much credibility you've built, you've lost it. I started to work with a business development manager at a training company the other month, and she couldn't even spell business. And I'm thinking, if you're a business development manager and you can't spell your own job title, how much likely is it going to be that you're efficient in doing your job? Now, that might be judgmental, but ultimately, we are judgmental, subconsciously people, aren't we? As much as we try to be politically correct, we live in the real world. As it says there, let's eat grandpa, or let's eat grandpa. Saves lives. Two very, very different things. So just get somebody else to check your typos. You don't want to go to all this work and then you mess it up because of the typo. Okay? All this simple stuff, isn't it? Well, you change this and I'll guarantee you engagement will go up. You can personalize your URL. This is just useful when you're adding it into things like email signatures. LinkedIn will automatically give you your own URL with a load of like hieroglyphics, gubbins, and all sorts of random characters. Go and change it to something relevant, because again, you can use that in all your marketing literature. Own your own media. We're going to touch on content, but we're only going to touch on it because that's 2 or 3 seminars in its own right. LinkedIn is about you becoming the industry professional go-to person that has a solution to a problem. So your own videos get great interaction. Short videos just on an iPhone, they don't need to be professional. If anything, I don't know about you, but I'm more likely to watch somebody that's out for a walk that I like that's got his camera like this and it's just talking away, because it's authentic, isn't it? It's natural, it's genuine. So bits of photos, bits of videos, bits of work you've done for clients, bits of testimonials, bits, drip these bits and pieces through so they gain experience, keeping your credibility going. It also makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Endorsements. Now this can be a little bit of a bone of contention, because you sometimes get endorsed for things that from somebody you don't even know. So-and-so sent you an endorsement from marketing. I don't even know who they are. Thing is, you can choose what those endorsements are. Now, if you've changed career or you were working for a different business, you can change which endorsements are shown. And you can also, do you know, apparently you can be endorsed for chewing gum on LinkedIn. There's a strange endorsement preset for that. But you can remove irrelevant endorsements. Now, when you have more than 100 endorsements for a certain thing, it just goes to 99 plus. That's the same way as in connections. When you've got more than 500 connections, it goes to 500 plus. I'm at just under 30,000 connections because I've been on there for 20 years, but I still only have 500 plus. So with your endorsements, if you're in marketing, and let's say I've got 99 plus endorsements for marketing, marketing strategy, marketing implementation, it doesn't matter that I don't know those people, but external verification means that it looks like he knows what he's talking about. So endorse people, endorse them back, because sometimes it's a nice thing to do. Send an endorsement, endorse Heather, something. That's really nice. Let's endorse back. Just builds up your external credibility. Connect with people you don't know yet. Now, again, this is a slightly controversial one, because LinkedIn still have the same rules as they had 20 years ago. You are only supposed to connect with people who you know, and if you don't know them, if you follow the rules, you're supposed to ask a second connection to introduce you. Now, that will be fine if you've got forever and a day to do that. But I'm going to show you how we can reach out to people that if they're in your target market, you should be connected to them. Because if they're in your suspects, and you're posting bits of content, you're posting bits of video, they'll see it. So we need to build up that target market. Always keep building up your target database, because they're going to get interested in what you're doing. I'm going to show you how you can reach out to people that you don't know. If you're reaching out to somebody that you don't know, personalize an invitation. How many times do you get that message from LinkedIn that says, "Oh, hi there, I'd like to add you to my professional network"? And sometimes you think, why? What for? If you had an invitation that went, "Hey, I noticed you worked at Broadwood in marketing, had a look at your profile, really interested, would you be okay to connect?" The connection rate is going to be a lot higher, isn't it? Give people a reason to connect. I would like to connect with you because we've worked with companies similar to you, or we often work with alliance with other companies. Would it be okay if you're connected? Give people a reason, the connection rates will start to go up. So I'm going to go through this with you in a bit. How many of you got Sales Navigator within LinkedIn? Or you all based it? So Heather's got it. Sales Navigator is the sales prospecting tool. I'm going to give you an overview of what the difference of it is. We can also give you a referral code for 2 months of a free trial. It's about £70 a month. But just let us know. We've got plenty of referral codes, but it's specifically designed for prospecting. That's it. Talked about publishing some amazing posts. This is your content that's going out. Just put things out that's relevant, interesting. We often use this what's called a 4-1-1. It starts to change a bit here. You know, LinkedIn, there's all sorts of controversy at the minute as to whether you should do personal stuff on LinkedIn. People say, well, that's Facebook, isn't it? You know, post your breakfast on there and that sort of stuff. But the biggest amount of interactions now are coming from personal posts. Personal posts with a business slant, but don't be afraid to be more personal what you're doing, where people get to know you as a person. It's about know, like, and trust. So drip some content, thought leadership bits out, some relevant, useful bits of information to your target market, but then also drip some stuff about you, your family, your stuff that you like doing, so start to get to know you. So have a think about that. Recommendations. If you started to use it, again, you can duplicate these on your website as well. Ask people for recommendations. As soon as you've done a great piece of work, or they think you're the best thing since sliced bread, I think it's fantastic what you've done. Oh, that's great. Would you mind doing me a recommendation? Ask for a recommendation. This is a while old now. I've only got 42. But that's external verification, isn't it? And then you can pop that on your website as well. So, and it's not just, I like to train people on how to write a recommendation. If you don't want somebody just saying, do you? Yeah, Ian, the team did a great job of working with them. So what? Yeah, I think there's a guy who's not on that particular one, Mark Calster. I said, right, we landed in 2 pieces of business before Christmas last year, a total of £205,000 of business. Now, you know what it's like, you get gold. If somebody says to you, done some great work, we've only been working with the team for 6 months, built up our connections, and already returned, I think it's 100 times our investment by closing £205,000 worth of business. That's like rocking all spur, isn't it? You've got to get that out all over the place. So ask people for those really chunky testimonials. Last one, just about status updates. Just be dripping these through every couple of days, something that's interesting, something's curious, just it's a bit like a minute. It's not so much your content. What are you doing today? What are you up to? Like this event, we're going to be posting this if that's all right, just to show people what we're doing. So drip that stuff away. Now, there are 15 tips. If you change 3 or 4 of those and you change your headline, you will start to get more engagement. And the more engagement will lead to more business, because I presume that's what you're all here for. At the end of the day, you don't want to be spending loads of time faffing around doing stuff. You actually want to get business out of this area. Okay? Any questions on that? Simple stuff, but that will get your shop front right, that will get your window display right, and that will get your shelves right when you walk into your shop. Simple as. Right, so credibility. Now, this is offered as a workshop in its own right. So what I'm going to say is, we've mentioned it before about dripping away your content. You either get someone to write the content for you, right? Talk to me, can write the content for you. So I get, to be honest with you, if you see mine, most of mine is written for. Elements of it I do myself. So the personal stuff I do myself, Jason's just been in, he does some bits. But the majority of the thought leadership stuff is researched, written, and published for. I'll let you into my secret. But you're dripping those bits through, you're dripping content through relevant to the people that are your target market. You're doing it consistently. You know, you don't have to be sitting on this for hours at a time. You can use scheduling software. Mine's actually scheduled a month in advance. So all I do is I just check what's going on next week. But drip it through, make it authentic, make it real. Don't make it too corporate. Talk about you, your values, what you like. And what will happen is dripping that bit away. If you do 2 bits a week, that's all you need to do. A personal bit of thought leadership bit. People will start to follow it. You'll start to get engagement. You'll start to get people liking it. As people like or comment on your posts, make sure that you comment back. Start to talk to them. All of a sudden, sometimes you can post content and nobody looks at it. You'll be surprised at some of the content that Jason puts some random bits of content online. I'm sometimes a bit nervous as to what he's actually going to post this week. What was it the other week? Was it it's the bread roll one that was the most interesting one? Yeah, the national debate about what you call a bread roll. Is it a barn cake? Is it a stotty? Is it a batter? Is it a roll? Well, there must have been, I think there was about 15,000 views of that particular post, 150 odd comments. So that just generates engagement. You start to talk to people and they go, oh, that's really interesting, that's curious, that's a bit of fun. Oh, what is it that you do? Oh, we do this. Would you be interested in having a conversation? So any likes, any comments on your content, make sure that you interact. Put yourself half an hour or an hour, a couple of times a day just to respond. So you'll get some business that way. So I'll say content in itself is a whole scenario, but if you're reaching out to people, your content just builds your credibility. Right. So we've done the visibility. You've now got fabulous profiles with great headlines, all properly laid out. And like I said, we'll look at your headlines, but if you want us to critique your entire profile when you've gone down this checklist, send it along to us and we'll give you a critique back. Don't send it to me before, like some people do. What do you think of it? And I'll go, it's rubbish, have a go at it, and then come back to us and then we'll review it for you. So, now we need to reach out to people. Because there's no point having a great shop with a great shop front, is it? Nobody's coming into your shop. So, how are we going to get these people into the shop? 3 things. target offer and coffee. This is going back to my coaching days. Now, most marketing and business principles, and we'll let you to a secret, there is nothing new. I've been coaching for about 30 years. Some of the best business development books were written in the 1930s. Apart from today's technology changes, the concept is still the same. Marketing hasn't changed in decades. There's just different routes to market now. Your three things, very basic things around marketing to get somebody engaged is, you've got to find the target market first. The more specific you find that target market, the more specific the challenges are going to be, so the more they're going to respond to it. The offer is what we're going to do to get them engaged, to move them from a suspect to a prospect. What carrot are you going to dangle that gets somebody curious enough to take some action? And the last bit is the copy. So what are you physically going to send out? Now, in 20 or 30 years of doing this, if you were to apply a score of 10 out of 10 to the amount of time and resources you put into those three things, most businesses completely get it back to front. And what I mean is, they'll spend that long, you might have done this yourself, you might spend that long designing a beautiful copy, a beautiful brochure, a PDF, an email, you spent ages your website, so it looks beautiful. Your offer's reasonably okay, but it's a bit weak, and you haven't spent any time on targeting, so you just send it out to everybody. So it's all falling on deaf ears. So a lot of businesses tend to put 10 into that, 5 into that, and 1 into that. Should be completely the opposite way around. We should spend so much time getting the target market right first. Who do I need to talk to? What's in their job title? What industry? What sector? How long have they been doing it? How old are they? All these sort of things. Because then you're going to know, is the offer relevant to that target market? And then what they used to say was, if you scratch that off on the back of a bag bucket, but it's gone to that person who has that need at that moment in time, when you've made an offer that they can't refuse, they're going to take you up on it, aren't they? So we're going to show you how to get that targeting right. So it was first designed as a recruitment tool many, many years ago. So if you've got this prospecting basic, you can start to look on here. There's only a few parameters. You see here, we've got, right, we're having a look in Manchester, we're having a look at construction, connections, we're having a look at probably our third connections. So at the minute on my profile, there's 1,800 people that are in that particular filter. Now, these are people that you can start to work down your list. If you're specifically looking for these managing directors in construction because you provide a service that they really need, then you start to connect with them. Hi there, Mike. Saw your profile. Noticed that you're at the MD of NG Bailey. Will it be okay to connect with work similar companies? Your connection rate's going to go really quite high. You should get about 40% connection rate. Prospecting Basic also gives you a few extra parameters. You can narrow down a little bit more. Here's your connection list. So first, second, and third. First, the people you're directly connected to, like your friends on Facebook. Second, the people they're connected to, and the third, the people they're connected to. Now, as your first connection pool starts to rise, your second and third rises exponentially. I think currently, because I've got about 30,000 in here, I think I'm about 200 million in my third connection pool, because that's how it's grows. So that's why it's important to start building your first connections, because your second and third increases then. So yeah, we've got Manchester. We can look within certain companies in construction. So there we've got a list specifically. We supply the construction industry, but the person we need to talk to is the managing director that we can start to target. You see how you're going to get very, very high response from the effort that you put in, because it's really specific. To give you an idea, we last year, or even this year, we're working with a company that sells powder. Educate you now. Did anybody come across something called dysphagia? Yeah. Dysphagia is that you can't swallow tablets. So we deal with a company that makes a particular powder, it's called Slow, SLO, that you can put into anything that's wet, that makes it thick and gloopy, so so that you can then swallow a tablet because it's like a jelly stuff. It doesn't affect the attributes of the tablet. Now, some of it sounds a bit gross, doesn't it? Because you can add this to any liquid that you want. So you can add it to red wine, it becomes slow wine. Then to beer, it becomes slow lager. Tea, coffee, slow beer. So I can't quite understand why you'd want thick and gloopy coffee or thick and gloopy lager. But you add it to these powders, you can swallow your tablets, it doesn't affect the attributes of the tablets. So for him, he wanted to target pharmacists. But he didn't want NHS pharmacists because NHS pharmacists have a central procurement source. He wanted independent pharmacists, but he didn't want the actual pharmacists because for him, his target market is pharmacists are not that bothered about the business. He wants the practice managers or the people responsible for running the pharmacy, but not the pharmacists. So then he can say to them, here's a product that you should have, and if you like and you're interested in it, let us know, we'll send you some samples. So that's an example of really, really specific targeting. So you need to work out who do you need to target, what you're going to target them with, and are they interested enough. So that's your LinkedIn prospecting basic. Now, if you decide to get serious with LinkedIn and use it as a prospecting tool, you need to get Sales Navigator. I think it's currently £70 a month. And it's on month by month. I say if you want, just let us know. We've got free 2-month access codes for you to try it. What Sales Navigator allows you to do, it gives you all these different parameters. So, you know, we talked about how important it was to get the targeted right. So up here, let's have a look. We're looking at construction, we're having a look at directors, we're having a look within a certain distance of Manchester, we're looking at a second degree connections. Some of these target fields are not that useful because you're after groups of people, but how long have they been in that position? So if they're new in that position, does that make a difference? Or they've been in that position a long time? You can geographically search. There's about 160 core industries you can search them for. This is how you're going to get really, really tied down to the people you need to talk to. But then you get all these parameters as well. So title. You know, we talked about changing your title to a much better. So title search comes within your experience, not within your headline. So on this particular search, you've got to have managing director in. Now, if you are dealing with, is it target you've been using recently, target specific?
What else, maybe? No.
Onus is.
IT director, IT managers.
This will find your exact words that have got to appear in. So if you are specifically looking for procurement managers, you know, and you have a service that does procurement managers, this search will only bring up procurement managers. Now, if you're dealing with a certain size of business, it will go with a certain size, so it might be smaller or larger. I'm just thinking at the moment, I'm doing a new search today for a coaching company that specialises in teaching electrical contractors. So what we've done is we've typed up there electrical contractors within the UK, and it's come up with a very specific list. So we can connect with them and say, oh, we notice you're an electrical contractor, we work with companies like you, would you be interested in connecting? Once they've connected, we send them a resource. So here's a resource that you might find useful to help you with a 7-step business growth model. And then if you're interested, we do run some free seminars. Give it a few days, send them an invite to a seminar. He'll get 50 to 70 on a seminar at a time, and he'll sign 3 or 4 clients. So it's a great tool to be able to do that. So it gets you really, really specific within your targets.
Although as well, have more than one job head, so it's not have to be one job head, so you've got a wide range. So I'm working for logistics in a minute. We want to get through with pharmaceutical companies to do with chemical control plants. So we're cool with vaccines and so on, isn't it? Forget anyone that works in the NHS or pharmaceuticals. So they're all procurement managers, buyers, so they get a few that database. And we send the invite out, like you just said, then we can fill the message out there.
It's targeting things like HR. We do quite a lot of work with HR, but HR is one of the more challenging job titles, isn't it? Because you know, years ago, it used to be in HR, didn't it? Prior to that, I'm showing my age now. I used to be personnel. This is showing my age. Now you are people experience managers, aren't you? You're talent acquisition specialists, all these sort of things. People have fancy titles. So you title list up there if you want to talk to anybody that's in HR, and then you start to engage them with something relevant to their industry around a challenge that you think they're probably going to have. They're going to engage with you, aren't you? So this is a great tool to be able to narrow down. And then once you have that search, Sales Navigator allows you to save that search. So you can start to work your way down that search, and that's your prospecting list. So prospect, send them a message, send them an invitation, and then when they come back in, start to talk to them. Gone are the days of lead generation. Probably not what you wanted to hear, but the amount of companies that we have as our competitors that will go, we will guarantee bringing you in 5 to 10 leads a day. It's rubbish. It doesn't work. They're not usually well qualified, they're just somebody that comes back in. LinkedIn is a tool to open the door to have a conversation with somebody that can build a relationship that then learns to know, like, and trust you. That will then lead to business. To start to engage, start to chat with them. And you know what? There's no clever formula. You know that if you're talking to somebody that's a target market for who you can close into a sale deal, then you just do exactly the same. Just be yourself, talk to them, engage with them, arrange to send some information, arrange a coffee. You know, it's just great, isn't it, now that we're coming back out into the real world and doing this stuff physically. You're reaching out to the people, you're engaging them with some value, they'll start to talk to you, and then you've got a lead, as opposed to the traditional spitting out leads. So, that's what we're telling people to do at the minute. Another clever little tool that Sales Navigator gives you, as well as being able to save as many search, I think you can save up to 15 core lists of people at a time. So you've then got 15 core activity lists that you can work your way down. It also gives you this social selling index. Now, there's 4 core areas it judges you on and gives you a score out of 100. And what LinkedIn have found out is the higher your social selling index is, the higher your engagement levels and the higher your close rates. So what they've done is they've got some tools that will allow you to increase each of these scores. It will tell you, if you want to increase your engagement with insights, this is what you need to do. And if you do this, this score will go up. This is the most difficult. I've been trying to get this score up for the last 20 years. I can't get it past about 15. But what it does, it will rank you within your network. So, all right, there's only 6 of us in the team. I'm ranked number 1 within the team. Within the industry, so within marketing, but across the world, across 800 million, I'm in the top 1%. And in my entire network of 30,000, I'm in the top 1%. Now, what that means is that when I do stuff on there, I get interaction. We've got campaigns running at the minute on 6 different profiles. Now, because I've been on there a long time, I've got credibility, then I'm probably getting 3, 4 or 5 inbound inquiries a day, which is what these guys look after. That's what we need to do potentially with your stuff. So you can do this yourself. And if you get stuck, what we've developed as a business 3 or 4 years ago is the ability to scale it up. So what we mean is we can send out 2,000 to 3,000 of these messages on your behalf on a monthly basis. So get your SSI score up. Talked about your offer before. Oh, sorry. It's gone off. Honestly, not touched it. I think I'm sticking it apart. Right. So we talked about your offer again before. And when you're reaching out to somebody, don't go into sales selling to people straight away. You're going to run the risk of pissing people off. Nobody likes to be sold to, do they? Build that trust, build that, and then all of a sudden, when you've been asked to make some sort of offer, to say, well, what is it that you actually do? Well, we do this, we're addressing a pain point, here's a solution to what we do, here's how you can get it, here's how it becomes really easy. Make it really simple. There's some clever little tools where you can embed PDFs into documents. So it's gone off again.
Just track press button. There you go.
Wow. Story brand, we put in here I've been marketing for 20, 30 years. You want a really interesting concept, there's a great book. Have a look at storybrand.com. It's fascinating. All our team are trained on storybrand. The idea of storybrand is it teaches you how a film is made. Who's the hero? Who's the mentor? What's the action? What happens if it does work? What happens if it doesn't work?
Should we give up?
It will help you.
There we go.
It will help you with your marketing message. People overcomplicate things nowadays. It will teach you how to do what's called a grunt test on your message. A grunt test is something like, if I've got a headache, a grunt test would be, I've got a headache, paracetamol, fix it, press this button, resend. That's your grunt test. We just give up. So that's just a bit flat. So keep your message short, keep it to the point. People haven't got time to be reading long, complicated messages. 2 or 3 lines in a message. Here's what we do. Here's the solution. Here's the value you're going to get. Click on this and we'll show you. We'll have a conversation. We'll have a Zoom, we'll have a meet, we'll have a coffee. So make sure it's relevant. It's got a call to action. Keep it consistent. Right. So I've rattled on a bit. There's so many things you can do with LinkedIn. Now, if you just apply the basics first, get some consistency, go out to your target market, reach out to them. Even if you just do 10 a week, you will start to get some conversations. Now, if you get those conversations, and it takes you 20 conversations to get a lead, and you could do 10 conversations a week, and every, let's say, of 2 leads, you'll close 1, that means you're going to get a new client every month. So apply that level of consistency. That's all that you need to do. So you want to have a look at your profiles. If you want us to review them, we'll have a look at them for you. If you want us to ramp it up, we can have a look at that for you to ramp it up, to get more value out of it. There's a clever little tool as well that I might try, whether it'll work on the big screen. You know, pre-pandemic, LinkedIn had such a clever little tool on their app on the phone. We could literally click on this tool, everybody click on it, you press OK, and it would all of a sudden bring up everybody's profile that was in the room within a 10-meter distance. Pre-pandemic, they removed it, obviously, because people were doing stuff. But have any of you got LinkedIn on your phone? Do you want to open it up now then? Let's do something a bit interactive. Then you guys at home, you should be able to see this as well. This is going to test whether this works or not. So open up your profile on your LinkedIn. You should see those little squares in the corner up there. Everybody got the little squares? Mm-hmm. Now, if you click on the little squares, it'll either go to scan or it'll go to my code. I think it goes to scan to start with, doesn't it?
My code first.
My code, right. So if you click on scan, it should open up a window. Do you want to go scanning that? You need to be close enough to do it. Is it working?
Yeah, it's not connected.
Whoa!
It's not replied yet.
Hey?
Not replied yet.
You know, if you're out to business meeting sometime, you haven't got a card on you or something like that, you can just open the little dots, click on either my code, it'll give you that, or click on scan and it'll open that. And we've got to do scan straight away to send a connection with the rest of that person. So that's quite a, a clever little tool to do it. So hopefully you've got some value out of that. Lots of stuff to go and do. Lots of stuff that will start your conversations, find your target market. So we can send you referral codes if you want to go. We can also look at your profiles as well to see if they go. If you then decide, oh, I like this, but I haven't got enough time, you want me to ramp it up, talk to the team, we can help you to ramp it up. But just by going in and doing those changes to your profile and starting those bits of content, starting those bits of conversation, I will guarantee that you will start to get business through LinkedIn without needing to do all that. There's a lot more stuff, which you can imagine, really clever stuff. Targeting, reaching out, value, conversations, Shopfront. You've probably nailed about 50% of LinkedIn. So, has anybody got any questions? It's about time. It's really warm in here, isn't it? So, it's just difficult to ever know what exactly to cover because there's so much stuff potentially to cover on something like this. Hopefully that's something you can actually go away and implement. So hopefully now we're connected. If you need any help, give us a shout. We're going to be around for a bit longer. Any questions?
Oh, good. Simon for the presentation.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for coming, guys.